Hi, in this video, I'll introduce the capabilities provided by our CryptoSoft OWASP Dependency-Track service. We supply a commercial offering of this popular open source project. You'll see we deliver the ability to create your own private dependency track instance in minutes, helping you get productive fast. Dependency track can either ingest an SBOM you already have, or using sample code and GitHub Actions we provide, we can create one for you and upload it to Dependency Track for analysis. Let me show you how easy this all is. What you're looking at right now is our homepage, www.dependencytrack.com. As I'll be using a dummy credit card to demonstrate the ordering process, I'm using a test system for this demo. That's why you see a different URL, but all the interfaces are identical. What we do is we go up here to products, we select our service. We then have a screen here inviting us to take a look at the subscription options, which we will do. We have two subscription options, or plans, on-ramp and core. On-ramp enables up to 10 dependency track users or 50 dependency track projects. Core is the next tier up that enables support for 100 users or 500 projects. And there are two flavors for each of these plans, a monthly option or an annual option. So in total, there are four potential plans you could select. One thing I will point out here is that for all of our plans, we offer a 1 month free trial, which is absolutely no obligation to purchase. Let me go through the process by selecting one of these plans. So I've selected the on-ramp monthly option. I now proceed to checkout, where it will ask me to put in my billing information. Okay, then we place the order. Okay, the order's been successfully placed. What we do is we send an email with the appropriate information to the account you specified. So let me jump over to our email. Just refresh that. There we have the message from CryptoSoft. And what it invites us to do from this message is click on the link, which does two things. One, it will set up a password for the CryptoSoft website. You need that to administer your account. And the second part of the process is to create your dependency track instance itself. So let me click on here, and we'll set up that password. There we go. Then we move into the second step, which is creating your instance. We give it a name. You're invited to review our terms and conditions, and then we press on create. And as the message says, this process takes literally 2 to 3 minutes. Once it's completed, you'll receive an email with your credentials. You'll also see the details displayed in this panel. At CryptoSoft, we implement a single tenant architecture. So your dependency track instance created is completely private to you and accessible only by you. We don't adopt a multi-tenant architecture where other people could potentially get access to your system. You also have a private persistent storage associated with your instance, which is a Postgres database that we set up. But again, everything is completely accessible only by you. Okay, the instance has been set up. You can see your credential details. We also show details that you'll need if you decide to use our SBOM creation capability. We'll be using that later. And dependency track on installation has a default user ID and password that we're also showing you here. Let's go across to the email that you've been sent. This includes exactly the same information you're looking at here, but if you close your browser window or you decide to run the instance at a later time, the email persistent version of that information. So let's jump over there. There you go, dependency track instance creation. You'll see it's exactly the same information that we were displayed on the panel. I'm now going to click on the URL to start up my dependency track instance, and there you have it up and running. I would say that probably from getting to the home page to having a completely operational system, the elapsed time was about 3 minutes. So let's log in. It's going to ask us to change the password. That's part of the process. Okay, now the password's changed. I can go in here and get us to the home dashboard, which we now have. Now, the purpose of this demonstration is not to discuss dependency tracks capabilities in detail, but let me very quickly say that it assesses against really 3 things. First of all, security vulnerabilities, where it uses the National Vulnerability Database, but there are also interfaces for you to plug in third-party databases to augment that if you wish. From a licenses standpoint, it assesses the licenses held by the open source components within your SBOM. So what licenses are being used, or indeed is there a license associated with that code at all? And the third thing it does is assess against what I would describe as security best practices. And we'll take a look at examples of these practices when we get to defining our security policy. So we've got our functional dependency track. What I'm going to do now is show you how easy it is to create your SBOM using the Cryptosoft service and how our GitHub Actions automate the upload and analysis by dependency track. We also provide documentation from our homepage to guide you through this step by step. All our GitHub Actions can be found in the GitHub Marketplace. Just do a search on Cryptosoft to locate them. But the first thing that we need to do is have dependency track create for us an API key. This is how the GitHub action will know the SBOM is destined for a particular dependency track instance. So the way that we do that is on the left-hand side, we come down to administration. And we click on access management. Then we click on teams, then administrators. And you see down here, we've got this little plus next to API keys. We press on that, it will generate a key for us. And I'm going to copy this key because we're going to need it in a little bit. Copy. Okay. Now, optionally in dependency track, you can create a policy. Typically, this would be done. The purpose of the policy is to highlight violations that are discovered during analysis based on your defined risk thresholds to help you understand quickly if and where you need to hone in on an issue that is relevant to your company. Let me create a simple policy for the sake of this demo. The way that we do that is clicking on Policy Management here on the left-hand side. Then we're going to create a policy. We give it a name, policy 1. And we define some logic here. What we're going to say here is that we want it to fail, the policy to fail on the conditions that I'm about to specify. here's a list of the conditions you can select. So severity would relate to security vulnerability severities. License relates to these open source licenses we assess against. So there might be a license that you are not comfortable about using within your organization. And I mentioned earlier that there are some best practices that dependency track checks for, and here's some examples here. You can also, fail the policy or raise a warning if something arises there that you're not comfortable with. But we're just going to use security vulnerabilities. So we're going to say if the severity of the vulnerability is critical, we want this policy to fail. So fail the policy if within the SBOM we find any security vulnerability that's assessed as critical. Now let's create your GitHub action. Let's move across to GitHub. Okay. So this shows my repository, and what we ask you to do within your repository is create a directory called .github/workflows. And if we click on that, we ask you to create a YAML file. You can call the YAML file whatever you like. I'm calling it SBOM. And then there's some sample code that we provide for you. You have to edit a few parameters here. The first thing you have to edit is the API key. So remember we copied that a bit earlier. I want to get rid of the sample. Let's plug in the one we saved. And then DTURL, that is the URL you were provided in the email for this SBOM creation capability. So I'm going to go back there to this message. And this is the URL we want to copy. Copy that. Jump back over here. And we plug that in right here. Just tidy it up, make sure there's no spaces or anything. And then optionally, you can name the project and give it a version number. What we call this one, Rob Tests, version 1.0. Now, this procedure, we're executing on the action of a push. This is perfect for CI/CD pipelines. So anytime you're doing a commit, you want to create the SBOM from the code and you want to upload it to dependency track for analysis. These changes have been made. Let me now commit them here on the right-hand side. So we're saying a little message here. SBOM test, we're going to call this. And we'll commit these changes. Take a look at the runs. Wait for this to start executing. And off it goes. And we can view the execution here, and we'll let it run. Now, while it's running, this might be a good time just to jump over and show you the documentation that we have for the SBOM utility. On the home page or across the top here under documentation, you click on SBOM creation. We provide a document here that describes in a lot more technical detail the action, what we're doing, the source code languages supported, which are very extensive. And it goes through step by step what I'm showing you right now. So the panels and what you need to change to implement this action. But there's some other useful sample code in there as well. For example, if you wanted to create the SBOM and upload it using a traditional pipeline, something like Jenkins, we provide sample code there as well. So let me jump back, and it says job complete. So our action has been executed. We've created the SBOM, we've uploaded it, and it's been successfully executed in dependency track. We can now jump over there, take a look at that. We go here to projects. You can see that a project's been created called Rob Test, which was the name we gave it. The SBOM's been created, it's been run. There were a number of vulnerabilities found, two of which were critical, and therefore there were 2 policy violations and it failed. That was all I had for this demo. I hope you've got a flavor for how quickly and efficiently you can create your own private dependency track instance and get it up and running, and how easy we make it to create SBOMs, upload them to dependency track for analysis, and integrate all of this into your toolchain with GitHub Actions. Thank you, and please visit our website, www.dependencytrack.com, for more information, or feel free to drop us an email at info@cryptosoft.com if you have any questions.